In Washington, D.C., the Federal Reserve quietly shapes the fate of the U.S. economy. It's not the White House or Congress, but its influence is unmatched. The Fed's job: keep the economy stable, balancing jobs and prices. Its decisions ripple through every household, affecting loans, jobs, and the value of your money. Created in 1913 to prevent financial chaos, the Fed was designed to be independent from politics. But that independence is always under scrutiny. Is it a shield from political meddling or undemocratic power? The Fed's dual mandate, maximum employment and stable prices, often puts it in a tough spot. Push too hard for jobs, risk inflation; fight inflation, risk job losses. Its main tool, the federal funds rate, which sets the tone for borrowing and spending nationwide. A small rate change can speed up or slow down the entire economy. The Fed's governors are powerful, yet most Americans don't know their names. Tonight, we pull back the curtain on how this institution shapes our lives. Welcome to America's Financial Command Center. The Fed is supposed to be above politics, but it's always caught in the crossfire. Democrats push for more jobs, urging the Fed to keep rates low, even if it means a bit more inflation. For them, unemployment is the bigger threat. Republicans, meanwhile, fear inflation most. They want higher rates to protect savings and investments. Each party expects the Fed to see the economy their way. During Democratic administrations, pressure mounts for job growth. Under Republicans, the focus shifts to fighting inflation. The Fed chair must navigate these political storms, testifying before a divided Congress. Every word is scrutinized for bias. The Fed claims to follow the data, but political pressure is relentless. In Washington, even the most independent institution can't escape the tug of politics. The battle over the Fed is a mirror of America's own divided priorities. Election season turns the Fed into a political football. If the economy's booming, the party in power takes credit and praises the Fed. If things go south, the Fed gets blamed for high rates or slow growth. Presidents publicly pressure the Fed, hoping for policies that help their re-election. The opposition accuses the Fed of being too political or too timid, depending on the moment. Rate hikes become a tax on families. Rate cuts, reckless spending. The Fed can't campaign or defend itself. It just absorbs the blows. Every election, the same cycle. The Fed is either a hero or a villain. Its complex decisions are reduced to sound bites and slogans. In the end, the Fed is the perfect political scapegoat, powerful, silent, and always in the spotlight. When votes are on the line, the Fed is always in the crosshairs. The fight over the Fed isn't just talk, it's about real power. Both parties have official stances on how the Fed should operate. Some, like the Audit the Fed movement, demand more transparency and oversight, arguing that too much secrecy breeds mistakes. Others defend the Fed's independence, warning that political meddling could wreck the economy. The president nominates the Fed's leaders, but the Senate must confirm them, turning appointments into political battles. Nominees are grilled on inflation, jobs, and regulation. Too dovish or too hawkish, and they face fierce opposition. Every appointment is a chance for parties to shape the Fed's future. The real debate: should experts or elected officials control America's money? The answer will define the Fed's role for years to come. The struggle for control is far from over. The Fed's reach extends far beyond U.S. borders. The dollar is the world's reserve currency. Most global trade runs on it. When the Fed changes rates, it sends shockwaves through global markets. A stronger dollar can trigger crises in other countries, making their debts harder to pay. This exorbitant privilege lets the U.S. borrow cheaply and wield financial power worldwide. In crises, the Fed acts as a global lender, stabilizing economies from Europe to Asia. The dollar's dominance also gives the U.S. leverage. Sanctions can cut nations off from the global financial system. But this power isn't guaranteed forever. Countries like China and Russia are building alternatives, and digital currencies could challenge the dollar's reign. If the world moves away from the dollar, the Fed's global influence will shrink. The future of the Fed's power is tied to the fate of the dollar itself. In a changing world, America's central bank stands at the center of global finance. But for how long? Once obscure, the Fed is now a social media sensation. Platforms like Twitter and TikTok have made its decisions part of everyday conversation. Press conferences are live-streamed, memes go viral, and everyone has an opinion. This visibility brings both understanding and confusion. On one hand, more people grasp how the Fed affects their lives. On the other, misinformation spreads fast. Memes like "money printer go brr" oversimplify complex realities. The Fed tries to keep up, launching its own outreach and education efforts, but it's a tough battle against viral content and political spin. In this noisy digital world, the Fed must protect its credibility and explain its actions to a skeptical public. The age of social media has made the Fed more accountable and more vulnerable than ever. The conversation about money is now open to all, for better or worse. So, who really controls America's money? The Fed is independent but not untouchable. Congress oversees it, holding hearings and demanding answers. Lawmakers can change the Fed's structure or mandate if they choose. The President appoints the Fed's leaders, and the Senate confirms them, injecting democracy into the process. Every appointment, every hearing is a check on the Fed's power. The system is designed for balance. Expertise meets accountability, independence meets oversight. The real answer? America's money is guarded by a messy, ever-shifting mix of experts, politicians, and the public. The tension between these forces is the ultimate safeguard. The Fed holds the levers, but its power is always being tested. In the end, the fate of America's money is a story of constant debate and reform, and that's exactly how it was meant to be.